Hi, Brenton here. Welcome to Feedback Friday. In today's video, we're looking at someone who sent their video in. Now, the first thing that I can notice here is she's probably holding her breath a little bit too much. We do get a very small exhale right here, but the rest of the time you don't see any air leaving through the nose or through the mouth. In swimming, we want to try and keep the breath fairly natural. It's just like if you were to go for a run or even just a walk, and you were to be walking, you'd take this big breath of air in, you'd hold your breath, and then after 5-6 seconds, you'd then exhale. You're going to be pretty tired after a minute or two. Same thing goes in swimming. If you're taking this big gasp of air and then you're holding your breath for 5 or 6 seconds, and you've only got a short space of time to then breathe out, you're going to be tired after 100, 200 meters. So what I'd recommend doing here is to just lightly exhale through the nose when you return your face back into the water. And then just before you turn your head, you want to push everything out. You want to have empty lungs by the time that you go to take that breath. So first thing would just be to fix the breathing. That'll probably bring her body position up slightly, because if you've got full lungs the whole time that you're swimming, then it gives you this extra buoyancy through the chest, but it can sometimes cause the back end, the hips and the heels and the feet to drop down there. So that would be the very first thing we'd look to do here. The other thing that you'll notice as we move through this is there is a little bit of a crossover. I'll bring it in a bit closer here. A little bit of a crossover with the right hand there. So it does come across the center a little bit, but the thing that is probably happening here, I think she's going quite close to her head. So this entry point right here, really close to the head, it leaves a long way for that hand to then have to extend forwards. And what we do get is the fingertips coming up to the surface there. So right here you can see how much of a break that palm of the hand and the forearm is putting on the water. That is going to slow you down. We always want to keep the fingertips, have that the lowest part of your arm, all the way through the entry and the extension. So if we can get that hand entry to be further forwards, keep moving forwards and slightly down, the fingertips need to be the deepest part of the arm there. A little bit more like this. That's going to reduce the drag, which will help her get more distance per stroke, and that's half the equation to getting faster. Left hand does a better job of getting those fingertips down. We do get that little bit of a crossover, which you can see here, so we would want to try and just bring that out. Probably the more important part of the stroke, though, to me, would just be this catch position. Sorry, the pull position. So as we go through here, you will see that the hand and the forearm does press down on the water. So we'd want to work on the catch. But this is a really key thing that if we could fix this, she's going to have a lot more power in the stroke, and she's going to be a lot more effective with the power phase of the stroke. So I sort of classify the power phase of the stroke as this, just as you're about to pass the shoulder with the hand. So you can see right here how straight this arm is. There's no angle with the arm, and the hand is wider than the elbow. So if we draw a straight line through this elbow, the hand is on the outside of it. What we want to try and get to, and I'll show you a video here, is we want that hand to be on the inside, and we should create this half diamond kind of shape with the arm. That will allow you to engage the lats, as opposed to, really it's not very strong when you're that straight with the arm. So once you get underneath the shoulder, we've got to get to this half diamond sort of shape. So you can see this happens on both arms. On the left arm as well, the hand does just drift out a little bit, and the hand is the widest point here. The elbow needs to be the widest point through this part of the stroke. And a good test you can do just to see what sort of power you've got when you are in that part of the stroke is, if you're at a desk now, put your hands on the table, make sure the hands are wider than your elbows, push down, feel what sort of muscles you're using, all right? And then bring the hands on the inside of those elbows a little bit closer in, and then push down, see what difference that makes for you. Now, the other thing that's causing, one thing leads to another, is from here, have a look at the direction of the palm. See right now how that turns into the body, and through this whole almost last half of the pull, she's kind of slicing out the back. So the little finger's leading the way, as opposed to that palm facing back behind her. And there's a big gap through the hip and through the hand on that side and on this side as well, just as she's exiting there. So the last half of the stroke she's missing out on, just because it's out too wide, so it's having to come inwards closer to that hip. So it's kind of slicing out the back. the way I sort of see it is the hand should almost trace the outside line of the body. So have a look at this video here and just see what I mean by that. So the hand will come out a little bit at the start, and then it will come in closer to the hips. So it will, if you think that you're wider in the shoulders, you come in a bit closer to the hips, that's the path it should take. It will take a curved path. It's not going to be completely straight or this really exaggerated S shape that they used to teach. It will somewhat trace that outside line of the body. So that's what I would typically go for with that. One of my favorite drills for kind of working on that better power phase position through here is a drill I call power diamond, and start to get that feel for what it's like to be in that half diamond shape with each arm. So that's probably one of the best drills that you can do for your stroke if you find that this is something that you have a tendency to do. Now, she will find she's going to be a lot weaker in her swimming and in her, with her arms for the first 3 to 4 weeks as she makes these changes, because she's going to be using some very different muscles than what she's used to at the moment. But it's just that phase that you've got to go through when you make changes. So one thing that could cause her to not make this change, if she's doing the drill, she's working on it, one thing that could stop her from making the change is it feels harder in the beginning. So people tend to shy away from what's the harder option. We do want to resort back to what feels easier and what feels comfortable. But if you can push through that uncomfortable phase for the first couple of weeks, it will work out faster in the long run. And that's why in the online coaching membership that I do, where people send me their videos and I do regular video analysis every month for them, that we get these incremental improvements over the course of 3, 6, 12 months and onwards from there. They do make these improvements because we encourage them to push through these awkward phases, even if it doesn't make them faster necessarily in the beginning, or they go through some phases where it might not feel that great. But once they do get through them, in the long run, it works out to be better. So that's why if you've got a coach or you've got someone that you can work with on a regular basis, they're going to help you make sure that you do stick through those uncomfortable times, and in order to change your stroke, because swimming is one of the most technical sports that you can do, and one of the more challenging sports you can do. And that's why the technique stuff is so important. And that's why I coach people online from all around the world, and they send their videos in on this regular basis, because that's why they can make such big improvements. Because working on your technique, you're probably doing the hard training, you're probably putting in the effort that your competitors are, but if your technique isn't where it needs to be, then you're always going to be held back. So that's why I really enjoy working on this sort of stuff with a lot of swimmers. So thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up. And if you are interested in checking out more about the online coaching, click the link below. There's some details there. Thanks for watching.